You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with David Story and Jacob Morrison.
Brother, we got Jeb, a fellow brother, iron worker on the line. He wanted to talk about one of the reasons. Well, I'll let him give his own thoughts on it. Brother, welcome in.
Yes, sir. Hey, thanks for having me. I think something that's often overlooked is the direct correlation between the decline in union membership through the 70s, and the decline in wages. That's
absolutely
really when a lot of the anti-union propaganda started, and obviously that's when the wages started declining, especially here in North Alabama. I think you probably trace it back to Reagan a little bit more in North Alabama, but
it's traced back to Reagan. It's traced back to Reagan completely across the United States. If you look at the numbers over the United States, it's in direct correlation to what Reagan done.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Clinton followed up. It's quite simple. But you're right.
I think that's why what y'all are doing is so important, because y'all are spreading the word about what labor can do to raise up the communities that we live in, and that's the wages, the conditions, the everything. We can help everything by organizing.
And that's one thing that I constantly preach. I try to be, it's difficult for me to toe the free market line, but the fact is we're living in this free market economy, somewhat free market economy, and that's where we're trying to talk to conservatives, if they'll listen and say that unions are the free market answer to unchecked capitalism, and that's the absolute only alternative to just letting the company do what they want with workers.
Well, and when you've got more wages or higher wages, the folks can spend more money. They can send their kids to college. They can buy nicer things, etc. And that raises the communities up out of the poor, especially downtrodden communities that have been stepped on for decades and decades and decades. And
not just the communities, the businesses as well. You know what I mean? Because.
A lot of times you go, but if I'm working at Ford and can afford to buy a new vehicle, I'm going to go buy a Ford or a Chevrolet or like Toyota in North Alabama, which thankfully, and I'm not trying to defend Toyota, but they do pay a decent wage compared to some of the other non-union car plants in the South. And
you know what?
I know that's one of the reasons why they relocated to Alabama was because we're a right-to-work state, but it's they do pay a fair wage.
Yeah, and I'm not a defender of Toyota by any stretch of the imagination, but the fact is they recognize whenever building their plant that union labor was far superior to non-union labor, and to the dismay of our governor, they demanded that union labor build that plant. Mm-hmm. So you give props to them where props are to be deserved, but also give props to those union workers that's out there building that plant.
Oh, hey, buddy, but believe me, I give props to them every day. I'm the business manager for the iron workers, and right now I've got about 215 men and women out there building that plant, and we've been out there for over a year and a half. So
I'm saying when I say give props, I'm talking about Governor Ivey should be giving props to these union workers.
Well, hey, her and Tommy Battle went to Japan to meet with Toyota before this thing ever went, and carried anti-project labor agreement packets with them that were distributed out by the ADVERTISERS of Alabama to go directly to the owner and try to make this thing go non-union.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you look at the wages that are being generated over there and the money that's coming back into the economy by having a project labor agreement that's they've got requirements in there for local hires and stipulations for safety and all that. So people are making more money that live in the counties in North Alabama, and they're coming home with all their fingers and toes every day.
And here's the other thing that very rarely gets talked about that should, is the fact that union labor that y'all are doing is being put back into the community through community projects to help improve at no cost to the community. It's coming out of y'all's pocket. No cost to the community. You're going out there and improving the football fields that the high schools are playing in, and things like that very rarely any of the politicians want to talk about.
Well, it's not about recognition. It's about boots on the ground and doing the right thing. And, that's, well, again, that's why I commend y'all for what y'all are doing, because y'all are spreading a good word and doing a good job of it. I'm glad to hear these conservative callers calling in, because that means that they're listening, and that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we appreciate.
I wish you could get a stronger signal in West Alabama, but hey, I can get you on YouTube,
There you go. Yeah, and we appreciate y'all listening, and we appreciate the Ironworkers' support. We really, really do. Thanks for calling in, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I pulled him off.
Okay, gotcha.
We are so close to the break.
Right. All right, so folks, this has been the Valley Labor Report. We appreciate your time. Tune in again next week, and you can find us online if you want to go back and watch some of it. So we will see you next week. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your time. If you want to see what we're up to throughout the week and get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. David is on Twitter at Radical Unionist. That's spelled RADICL Unionist. If you missed part of the show and want to go back and watch it later, search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there, and we also clip segments throughout the week. And we also upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps. So you can see if we're on your listening platform of choice. You can go to thevalleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe. And if you appreciate our work and want to help us stay on the air, then consider throwing us a couple dollars a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report.